So is Boeing going to zero? I looked things over and no, it's going to zero. So that's really the end of the video. And I hope everybody had a good weekend. However, on further contemplation, I did think that there is a possibility it doesn't go to zero if, like, perhaps Trump legalizes assassinations of whistleblowers, then it might go to 182.20. So either zero or 182.20. It's not a very good risk reward here, losing 151.68, to gain 30 or so and maybe more. But I like my chances, and so I'm going to give it a shot here. So I've drawn on here, to me, this is the price action broadening formation. It's not exactly, to me anyways, the same as a megaphone. I use them just a little bit differently. And, one thing that's key is that a lot of people look at these and they assume that if it hits the bottom, it's got to go to the top. And that's just not, it's not the case. And that's not what they're used for. And that's not how they're traded. But I mean, generally you see that it's been, an utter piece of shit. And so, I had identified this interesting spot. There was actually a spot, right here. I took a partial position here, I believe. No, it was this week. And this additional spot here, this is on a shorter time frame, right at this last week's low. And so we added there. And so we do have a position. And so we're either losing $152 or maybe we make 30. We'll see. But there's a couple things that I would point out. I mean, the first thing that's pretty notable is the volume on the prior week. Pretty significant volume. And after that kind of volume, I actually love to see the fact that last week sort of swept that low, sort of to test those buyers, right? And sure enough, at least the strong ones did not puke. There absolutely was some puke last week, and I love to see puke into a low. I mentioned before in my Palantir video, like that was one of the ways, that I knew to be watching very, very closely for that bottom sub 6 was just nonstop puking. And so I guess we get into a year and into the end of the year where this has been an absolute dog, and you risk having tax loss selling into the end of the year. There's a possibility that most of that puke has occurred, and maybe we don't get, some additional December selling. But, if we get a nice reversal off of here, then, maybe that's a higher low in December if there is some additional selling that takes place. Now, I will say that this is not as clean as Google was, right? Google was like this beautiful monthly back test of a 3-year balance. And we entered that, and it just never really looked back. Traded from 150s to 180s, on earnings, and is just about back there now. This is a little bit more busted chart, but it's not a terrible setup here. So it held, we had demand at price basically stacked in this range here. I've removed the first one from my chart, but it was basically stacked right here in this range. I like to see that. We got a nice reaction at both. We added at both. That's actually the same thing that we did with Bitcoin. So we had like 61K ads, 60K ads, and 59K ads. There was just stacked demand there. We added them all. And, now we sit at new all-time highs, 77,000. So I do like to see that. And I'm certainly always going to take a shot when I see something like that. So, I mean, from here, what needs to happen? I mean, obviously there needs to be some kind of a reversal here, for us to get excited at all. And this is pretty clear risk for now, maybe a little bit below last week's low. We don't really want to see it go anywhere near that, to be honest. So for me, I think, and I'll give you this, we'll have full detailed levels in the plan, but this 152.60 to 153.20 range, I marked those out. They're actually prior day's highs. That's not why they're marked out, but they're within pennies of a key volume profile characteristics. And so I think Boeing's going to have to fire over that, like, pretty quick here, beginning half of this week, or it does risk invalidating the trade setup, or at least coming down here and sweeping last week's low, and that would be very annoying. But you'll notice I have the October low, which we already know that we look below and fail, and I have the April low, which is also the Q2 low. So we're talking about quarterly candles now, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at the quarterly candles. So here are your quarterly candles, and we've got a little more than a month and a half left in this quarter. So it's not unreasonable to think that this potential look below and fail quarter could close as a green hammer, kind of like the Google monthly that we were looking at. If we could front run that, get a decent entry, monitor the trade for continuation, again, like what if this comes up as like a nice green hammer? That would be a nice look into Q1 of 2025, right? So for me, my target on a nice close, above 159.70 was that low at least. I want to get back above there, and it'd be nice to kind of close, closer 160s, low 160, 162, maybe 163 would be a solid close for the year. And then from there, we would look for 2025 to take out the highs of this hammer, see some continuation to the open of this quarter here. This was Q3, I suppose, and potentially then to the highs of Q3. And so those are my major targets for this. But I mean, we don't know what Boeing is going to do. Are they going to turn it around? Are they going to keep assassinating people, which is obviously very bullish? We don't know. But, to me, this is a very, very important American company. It's probably not going to zero And so it becomes increasingly likely that we legalize assassinations of whistleblowers and we get 182.20. So I'm willing to take a shot here. Again, we'll have this in the plan, and I'll have some full levels for you to follow along, so we'll know how we're monitoring. We are in this. There will be some dip buys available. I posted a few levels on X the last few days that have worked very, very well. So really everybody's had an opportunity to get in if you wanted it. I feel like if you've been on my feed anyways, but you can go back through and just search by BA and you'll see a few of them anyways, and they've worked very nicely. And you're not going to want to see that 149.45 to 149.61. You're not really going to want to see that violated, I don't think, this week, or else we are risking, kind of coming back down into these lows. But, that's probably your risk if you do not have a position and you're looking to enter. Another opportunity would be, above 153.20. Let's say if it finds its feet above there, kind of higher highs and higher lows. So I'll give you that. But again, we'll have full levels on the plan. So hope you guys have a great weekend.